Good morning and welcome to part 2 of our Saskatchewan ghost town exploration video. If you watched part 1, you know we spent the night in an empty field here in Wood Mountain, Saskatchewan, and we are getting ready to hit the road again today. We got a bunch of more places on the list to visit. So out of like the 14 places I had on the list, how many did we get to?
We're through 6 of them.
Not bad.
Yeah, and we saw quite a few other towns that weren't actually on the list. So we, quick map check, are about the furthest south that we're gonna get. We are here in Wood Mountain. So we're just gonna hit the end of this little highway and start going north. We're gonna work our way up and around and then over here off the page, and it'll be another really full day.
All right, we have made it to our first town of the day, which is Flintoft. We just turned off the highway. It doesn't look like there's really much here in terms of a town. I feel like we're driving more into somebody's private farmyard, so I'm gonna find a place to turn around and head back out. Yeah, looks like this is the town, or not much of a town. Looks like it's all privately owned now. So pulling back out of town, you can see community mailbox here. There's a cairn of some sort marking something there. Probably a homecoming or soldiers, that sort of thing. We see a lot of those. And most interesting thing in Flintoft, based on what we can tell, is this old schoolhouse that's right here on the corner with the highway. Yeah. Flintoft. Neat old school. Looks like it's been maintained a bit over the years. Has got newer windows and things in it, so that's kind of cool. On to the next one. One of the great things about Saskatchewan is there's always undiscovered gems or things that you weren't expecting to see. And we've had a couple of them. We had a really neat homestead with a barn that we stopped and took some pictures of from the road. And then we saw this up on the hill. This is something church.
Peace Lutheran.
Peace Lutheran Church. So we had a nice convenient turnaround spot here with the bowler. That's nice. But let's get a closer look at the church. Read a little bit about it here. 12 families homesteaded in 1911. 1925, they built a church. Services were held until the 1950s. And there are family members buried in the cemetery on the south side. Oh yeah, I see it up on the corner there. I didn't even see the cemetery at first, just in front of that grain bin. So there you go. Dates from the 1920s. And check out that shot there with the moon still above it in the sky. Whew, still windy. The good news is DroneOCan, being an older, heavier drone, handles the wind quite well. But before we leave, I want to go take a look at these grave markers from the homesteading family here. Doesn't look like it was a big cemetery. Or I guess since it's attached to a church, it's safe to actually call it a graveyard. So that one there, 1927 from 1896, so not very old. Lots of long shadows from the rising sun here. This is J.C. Silzer. 1968, am I reading that right? From 1864 to 1938 maybe? I can't. Let's see if I get in closer here. Yeah, maybe it looks like 1988, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, somebody could live to be 124, I guess, but here's Hilda, child grave there, 7-8 years old. Edward, 2024, so that's a very recent burial. Here's Verna, another child one there, 1935 to 1940 something, so very beautiful and peaceful resting spot. Very windy this morning, but our pioneering families still watching over the land. Whew, continues to be windy here. So we went through Stonehenge. There was nothing there really except an abandoned rail bed that crossed the road. And we've come a little bit further south now to Maxstone, which has got two of the three things that would have made it a perfect ghost town. We have this historic church here, which according to the sign now functions as the St. Mary's Museum of Maxstone. That's one of the three. Across the road we have an abandoned school, 2 of 3. And we do have a rail crossing here, but unfortunately no more grain elevators, or this would have made it 3 of 3. Now I don't know if this is an active rail line or not. It doesn't look abandoned, but boy, if we could get a train coming along this curve in front of the church, that'd make for the money shot on this trip, let me tell you. Yeah, this must see some usage. These tracks are not very rusty. They're not overgrown with weeds. So I'm thinking that this is still an active rail line, maybe not very active, but probably see some usage of some sort. So we might get a train. That would be just too good. So Eagle Eye Emily here spotted that there was a geocache hanging on the corner of the fence without even looking at the website. And then I did pop in to look at the website, and it gives a little bit of history here. Stonehenge School District 2436 was originally built a mile north of here. By 25, the school's enrollment exceeded the size of the building, so a new school was built on the northwest corner of the intersection with a capacity of nearly 100 students. In 1927, the name of the school district was changed to Maxstone, named for the post office of the nearby hamlet. And apparently the school closed in 1963 and the students were moved to Assiniboia. Now we're not going to bother calling anybody to come check out the museum. I'm just going to stick my head in the window and see what it looks like inside. Kind of try to shield it so you can see there. Some pews. Old outhouse in the back. Not gonna check that out. And of course we're gonna check out the cemetery here. Kwasnicki seems to be the most common name here at the front. These graves here being overgrown by caragana bushes. Kostiuk, Michael and Regina, or Regina probably. 1919 and 1916. Slowly being overgrown. Let's see if there's any more here yet. 1943. That one's kind of sad because while it's being cleared now, you know, as soon as the family members who still live in the area, who are obviously looking after it once they're gone, these will quickly become overgrown. Some Pilsners. 1900 to 1953, and then 1907 to 1973. Michael and Elizabeth. Go grab some close-up photos of the school. Read the plaque there. It probably says the same thing that the geocache already told us. So just as a side note, it's like at the time of this recording here in October of 2025, the Alberta school teachers are all on strike, and one of the big issues is class sizes. And it just shows how things have changed so much that back in this day, you know, this school was built to accommodate 100 students. So it's pretty remarkable. Like, it's not a big building, and you would have housed 100 students in here. So yeah, Stonehenge School renamed Maxstone School. And this is kind of neat. Old ball diamond here. Couple of benches, the old backstop. No sign of home plate. Just a piece of wood, probably about where home plate would have been. Home run! I'd love to see inside the school, but I think all those windows are too high up for me to stick a camera in. So we'll just have to use our imaginations to think about what still could be inside there, if anything left over from the 60s. Yeah, there's probably still kids in the basement. All right, so that's going to do it from Maxstone. Hopefully the dead cat on the microphone was able to cut the wind enough to keep the audio somewhat useful, but it's windy out here. On to the next place. So we're just going to take a drive in here into what I assume was where the actual hamlet of Maxstone was located. It's another one of these that feels like I'm driving into their farmyard, but it is a public road. I'll bet you they don't see too many people towing bowlers coming through here. But yeah, this was definitely the actual hamlet where that post office that was mentioned on the school sign would have been. So, still a few residents kicking around here, but yeah,
they liked their baseball.
But not much of a full hamlet. But yeah, as Emily pointed out, another baseball diamond. So must have been a big ball playing town here. All right, time to carry on down the road. Pulling into St. Victor. Yeah, big branch on the road, probably down from all the wind we've been having. Looks like a cute little town settled here or situated here in the valley. Looks like we have an old church coming up on the left. Beautiful in there amongst the trees. This is a really picturesque looking little town. Like, the properties are very well maintained. The tree-lined street is just your stereotypical small town tree-lined street. And then we have this Jubilee Beach. Picnics. Scenic views. Wow. Fifth wheel for sale if anybody's interested. Yeah, it looks like it was like a pool house or something. Petroglyphs Museum, number 9 Main Street. I'm just going to pull in here. There's some information about, spoiler alert, the petroglyphs we're going to go check out. Okay, so let's get some history here on St. Victor. It's a Métis settlement, or it appears to be, or the first came here. First post office opened in 1911. 1914, the Roman Catholic Church and Rectory were built. 1959, Montague Lake School closed and the children went to Willow Bunch. Building became Le Centre Sylvain, a French cultural center. 1964, St. Victor became a village. Artificial lake swimming pool was constructed and opened in 1966 as Jubilee Beach. That's that building we saw back there. Wow. Okay. This is kind of an overview map of where we're at. We're literally right there. We're gonna have to go back to Assiniboia at some point because I'm down to about a quarter tank of gas, which while pulling the trailer only leaves me about 200 kilometers of range. And here are some examples, I should say, of some of the petroglyphs that we're thinking of, we're gonna go see. So yeah, the log building was a camp kitchen in the Moose Jaw Wild Animal Park. Built from used power poles from the 30s, was built around the 50s in the Wild Animal Park near the entrance to the campground. Was obtained by the Petroglyphs, friends of the Petroglyphs, in the 90s and moved here log by log. So before we head south to the Petroglyphs, we should check this out. I did walk through the remains of the Moose Jaw Wild Park or whatever it was called at one point. It was not something that I was doing videos of at the time, so I don't have any video of that. I might have some photos I took. I'll see if I can dig those up. And we'll take a closer look at the church here since we're here. Obviously, looks like it functioned as a museum at one point. I don't think it's doing that anymore. So we've come about 2.5 kilometers south of St. Victor to the St. Victor Petroglyphs Provincial Park. Now this is a place I had not even heard of until I was planning this trip on Google Maps and saw basically saw it on the Google map, and I was like, okay, sounds interesting. Let's see what's there. And so here we are. Little picnic area, little fire pit. Not sure if that's a donation box or something. We'll check that out in a minute. A special place. Forces of nature and creativity have come together to make St. Victor's Petroglyphs a very special place. Nature endures, time has worn and blurred the petroglyphs. Replica below gives some idea of the appearance and size of the carvings.
Oh, right there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't even see those below. So this is a little bit of a different historical site compared to the ones we've been showing you so far on this trip. Much older than a lot of the sites we've been showing you on this trip. And one thing we've noticed today is there's been a distinct lack of grain elevators so far, but that will change, I promise. So I think this is just a nature trail. Probably back in the day you could access the petroglyphs from along here, but it's all fenced off now. So we're gonna have to go back and up and around this other roadway to go see what we're here to see. Still a beautiful little walk. And I mean, when you've been sitting in the truck for all day yesterday and already for 2 or 3 hours this morning, a little bit of walking doesn't hurt. So we're gonna walk up here. Again, the exercise won't kill us. And the other part of it is, I don't know what's up here. I'm assuming there would be room to turn the trailer around, but not knowing that, I'm not taking the chance. We've made it to the top of this plateau, and you can really take a moment and appreciate the beautiful countryside here. And you know, Saskatchewan has a reputation and is the butt of many jokes about being really flat and boring and there's nothing to see. Well, those are all made by and laughed at by people who haven't been here and don't understand just what this land has to offer. Like this, sure, it doesn't have the mountains, but man, this is still pretty scenic. I mean, I love mountains as much as anybody, but there is something to be said for being able to see for miles and miles and miles. So we've reached the top and the end of this road. In hindsight, there would have been no problem getting the trailer up here. I might have needed 4-wheel drive just because it was slipped on the gravel, But we could have made it, and there would have been lots of room to turn around. But again, the exercise won't hurt us. However, what might hurt us is what looks like a giant padlock on this gate. So this might be...
No, it's not.
Oh, okay, it's not a padlock, it's just a doorknob. I was worried we were going to come all this way and not be able to get there.
I think you just gotta
undo the chain. And I don't see anything that says no dogs, so we're going to assume it's okay for Mabel to come in. I mean, it is a sacred place for the First Nations people, but we also know First Nations people use dogs a lot, so Mabel's not going to be the first dog to visit this site. And there's nobody around, but if there was somebody around to break into the truck or the trailer, we have a good vantage point of it from up here anyway. And there's a nice view of St. Victor, the town, lying in the valley off in the distance. The age of the carvings, the soft rock, exposure to weather and lichen have made them difficult. If you can spot, see if you can spot more. At dawn and dusk, the shadows can make them easier to spot. Well, we don't have that luxury, unfortunately. So let's see where they're highlighted in blue. Right there. Let's see if we can make sense out of this map.
see the face.
No, Emily says she can see the face.
And something behind it.
Oh, yes. I'll digitally zoom in here on the video, but yeah, you can see them there kind of on that flat face of the rocks. I have to make a special effort to hold on to my hat here because I'm right at fence level, so if the wind were to grab my hat, it would blow it off into the protected area and I wouldn't be able to get it back. They're not really sure who made them. They think they may have been ancestors of the Dakota and the Nakota. Not exactly sure of the meanings either. And if we come over to this sign, they talk about how they think they were made through pecking and grinding. But again, they're not 100% sure of when the petroglyphs were created or what the dates on them would be. So they believe it dates prior to the arrival of horses in this area, which happened around 1750. So estimates put it between AD 500 and 1700. Okay, so that's going to do it for St. Victor Petroglyphs, a neat place that a week ago I didn't even know existed. We're going to work our way back to the truck. Then we're going to have to backtrack to Assiniboia because it's the only town of any sort of decent size here where we should be able to get fuel. The truck was saying I'm down to about 200 kilometers or less to empty, and like I said, with this wind and whatnot, it can really wreak havoc with that, and so those 200k could disappear in a hurry. And the one thing you don't want to do is run out of gas here, because then you pretty much have to go begging at a farmyard to see if you can buy some gas off of them to get you to the next town, because we have not passed a functional service station since pretty early yesterday afternoon. I want to say the co-op perhaps in Cadillac had fuel, but I'm not sure. I think it did. That might have been the last service station we've seen. I could be wrong, but either way, we're gonna head to Assiniboia. It's a little bit off our route, but a necessary evil when you're traveling in places like this. There we go. Fresh off of a full tank of gas in Assiniboia. We are now heading eastbound on Highway 13, and our first stop here is going to be Willows. Not to be confused with Willow Bunch, but a different town. This is Willows, Saskatchewan. Doesn't look like from this distance that there's much of a town. Looks like an old schoolhouse and a grain elevator. So let's get in there and take a closer look. There we go. I'll zoom in as far as I can with the handheld here, and it's a pretty neat looking schoolhouse. Just sitting alone there in the field, rotting away. Getting a closer look here at the Willows elevator. Looks like an old shop or store or something here.
There's people in here.
That's a neat looking old storefront, actually. Emily's gonna get us a photo with some Mabel assistance. And there's a locomotive there, and yeah, fella's doing some work on the elevator with his family. So I'm assuming it's a privately owned elevator now, and it looks like it's being looked after. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see an elevator that is still being maintained and whatnot. And yeah, and we got our first elevator of the day down, so that's even a better bonus.
Quick check-in on the map with the missus here. We just left Willows right here, and we're heading to the next town along the rail line, which is Readlyn. However, as you can see, hopefully you can see that on the map, there are no roads. So we would either had to go down to 13 and up, or 717, which is the one we chose, and down. And we've never been to this town of Readlyn, but for some reason I have it starred on my map from many years ago. Someone must have told me there was something interesting there. So hopefully it's still interesting. We'll see what we see.
Coming up here on Readlyn now. Nice set of train tracks here. Neat topography too, the roads, lots of twists and turns here. Let's go see what's in town. Oh, very washboardy. Shake poor Bella the bowler to pieces, I'm afraid. That certainly looks like the remains of a grain elevator.
See the yellow of the pool logo.
Yeah, part of the yellow pool logo. A bunch of bins. So some grain elevator remains. This looks like a great old schoolhouse here on the corner. Private residence or storage perhaps now? I'm not sure. Wow. That's a great building. I'm going to get a picture of that one. That looks like just goes into somebody's yard. So that school is very cool. Cool school, if I do say so myself.
House?
Yeah, an abandoned house here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Very photogenic there through the lights of the trees. Some sort of false fronted building there with a tin roof on it. Like I said, I don't want to go down that road because I'm not sure where the turnaround is, but I'll get a picture of it from back here anyway. Some more abandoned houses. This looks like an occupied house. Ooh, that looks like a community hall or something down there. Okay, I'm gonna gamble and come down and check this out.
Yeah, this is a neat town. You see why
Yeah.
it starred.
There is a lot of abandoned buildings here. This is amazing. Another abandoned house, nicely intact. All the glass is still in it. And then this looks like, I said, either community hall or old school or something. You know, as we come around this corner, this looks like a curling rink coming up on the right-hand side. Oh, horses in the shadow of the curling rink.
Aw, I wanted to say hi.
It smells barnyard fresh here too. I don't know what the way out of town is that we're going, but that looks like it just dead ends in a yard, so. Okay, wow. This was a very cool little town. I can, as Emily said, I can see why it was starred on the map. Like, for the number of abandoned buildings in such short proximity, this place has got it going on. So this is Verwood. We came just a little bit further east on Highway 13 to get here. You've heard of flyover states? Well, these are drive-through towns. Basically, ones that we just kind of drive through and document and take a look at. Show you some of the highlights, but not real stops along our road. But this one's got a grain elevator, so we knew we had to detour off the highway to come check this out. So one thing about this elevator that I will say is I now have a new nominee for the ugliest grain elevator of all time. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of these, what I call centennial style with the flat tops to begin with, but man, you add that blue color and a whole bunch of crap in front of it, just not doing it for me. Emily's going to snag a couple documentation shots of this old church building. It's a neat old building. Shame to see it in such poor condition, but capture those photos because next time we come through it could be gone. This looks like the old community hall here in green. Could have been an old post office or general store there, that false fronted building. This one here has the style, makes it look like it could be an old Eaton's catalog home. I've seen a few that look that way before. Somebody who's more of an expert than me can chime in below and let us know, but certainly has that look. And then as we pull out of town to the north here, we got a couple more. This house here, and then a bigger, larger church. Looks like it's been converted for other purposes now, but that is Verwood, Saskatchewan. Back to Highway 13 and the Red Coat Trail. And here's a rare sight. 2 grain elevators. We've seen a couple towns that still have 2 on them on this trip, but we are pulling into Horizon, Saskatchewan here. Got this church on the west side of town. Such unfortunate that we got perfect blue skies. The light is so harsh for trying to take photographs of these places. Get those documentation shots, and let me try and get it to zoom in here a bit if I can. There we go. So you can see the annex here has collapsed. And I probably will remember to insert a photo here of the annex when it was still standing, because we have visited this town before. We also bypassed Viceroy because we had been there before. So never a good sign when there's a backhoe in front of a grain elevator. It's usually a sign of demolition. It may just be to clean up the annex, but... And then we'll move down the road here. I completely forgot that there were 2 elevators in Horizon. I only really remember that one, but there is a second one here. We're gonna grab our photos of it, complete with a power line in front for me. I always like power lines for some reason. And the second one still has an annex on it, so
Yeah,
federal grain. It's where we miss Jim Pearson, because he would have known all of those. And a little farmstead here on the left side of town. Car coming. Didn't take any footage here, but just a couple photos of Pangman, Saskatchewan for you to take a look at. One of the nice things about navigating to places like this is that even when the paper map fails you, you can still find things by following the rail beds, and that's kind of what we did here. We saw what looked like an old school as we drove in, so we gotta try and find that yet. We haven't seen it since getting into the town proper here, but I think it was kind of on the south end, so I'm gonna turn here and go that direction. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it off to our left now through the trees. Still some old concrete sidewalks. No buildings left in front of them. The school looks pretty cool though. I know I say that a lot, the whole cool school thing, but brick. And still in really nice shape.
It looks like someone's put new windows in it.
Yeah, it's got new windows. Really nice condition. Yeah, they even left the light on for us. It's the Motel 6 of Prairie Schools. Neat little playground. If it was closer to quitting time today, this wouldn't be a bad field to pull into and hide out on for the evening, but we have a lot to go. It's about, for those keeping score at home, it's about 20 after 2 in the afternoon. And we have covered 1,038 kilometers so far on this trip. We are now working our way south towards Brooking. And Brooking was kind of my big target on this trip. Out of all the things, that was the one thing I really wanted to see. So it's kind of exciting. That's kind of like, I won't call it the climax, because climax is its own ghost town here that we're not seeing on this trip. But it's kind of like the goal was to get to Brooking. And then from there, we kind of start working our way back towards Saskatoon. Kinda, not exactly. So the hunt is on. We came south out of Khedive. We're now heading east. But the challenge we're running into with navigating with the paper maps is the roads here in the real world aren't really marked as well as you would think. Like, they don't have township and range road numbers on them. So it's not that easy to correspond our map, paper map that Emily has, to the real world, because not every grid road we drive past is on the map. So we never know if it's really the road we're looking for or not. So this is more challenging than expected. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen, but on the horizon, I just spotted the elevator at Brooking. So we are heading the right way. So here we are coming into this valley, very picturesque valley. If I had missed this elevator, this would go on the list with Wood Mountain as one of those that I really regret not seeing. I mean, that is just, what a picturesque sight sitting there in the valley here. There's a neat farmstead up on the hill. I'll be sure to fly the DroneOCan over there as well and get a look at that. This is beautiful in here. Absolutely beautiful. I assume there's nobody coming down that road. But here we are. So now, if you know much about Canadian Prairie grain elevators, you're probably wondering why it says John Hawk and Company Limited, and why I kept saying we were coming to Brooking when the elevator says Promise. Well, what you're actually looking at here is a movie prop. Now, it's not a prop, but it is an actual grain elevator from the ghost town of Brooking that was painted to say Promise for the filming of the 1999 movie Revenge of the Land. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about the story. You can actually find it on, I think it's actually, the whole movie is on YouTube. That's where we watched it anyway. But essentially, it's the story of a couple who falls in love and etc., etc. But the town is run by John Hawk. And he basically manipulates his way into owning a whole series of grain elevators throughout this whole area and runs them as a monopoly, and is basically putting the farmers and the local people out of business. And the climax of the film takes place right in this area here in front of this grain elevator. Now, I will put up some still photos from some screen captures from the movie. But I mean, it's a really great shot. You've got some shots going down the train tracks with a steam engine coming in from the far east side there. You have a gathering of a lot of people here in front of the grain elevator leading up to the driveway. And you have the local people building their own grain elevator out here in this area. So it's quite remarkable that they filmed all that here, you know, less than 30 years ago, and now there's not much left at all. And even the grain elevator itself is in pretty poor shape. You can see the annex there on the left side of the elevator. Still shows pool, so it was originally a pool elevator. And then it was just this one side of it that was repainted for the movie to say that it was Promise. Promise being the town where the movie was taking place. So, yeah. There's also this sequence or series of old houses across the road. I have to assume that that was kind of where the main town site of Brooking was at. So let's put the drone up. It looks like there was an old boxcar, wooden boxcar there as well. So there's, it looks like about 3 houses and that wooden boxcar over there that I want to show you. And of course I want to get you some shots of the elevator from the drone. Now it's pretty windy, but I think DroneOCan can handle it. I don't have the still photo with me, but this reminds me very much of the shot where we could see the train coming in the distance in the movie. So we'll wrap it up here from Brooking. It was a really cool experience to finally see this elevator. It's been on my list for a long time. It's in really bad shape and probably won't be here much longer. It's funny, we met a local who was driving by and talked to her for quite a bit, and she was showing us some pictures she took here at sunset in 2021. And she was commenting on how many people drive out here to see this elevator. She's like, there's people here all the time. And I can see why. It has become one of my favorites instantly the minute we came down the hillside and saw it here. Absolutely beautiful elevator. It's in really bad shape. It's not long for this world. In fact, the local we were talking to suggested that it needs to come down sooner rather than later. Her reason was it is apparently a breeding ground for raccoons and other vermin, and those vermin are wreaking havoc on this area. So she personally really would like to see it come down sooner rather than later. She did mention, you know, she's grown up in this area. She can remember coming here with her dad when, you know, in the 60s when he would haul grain to this elevator. So she really was kind of cool to share some stories. She lives not far from here. I didn't actually catch her name, unfortunately, but yeah, she has memories of coming here as a child to this elevator and has now watched it deteriorate to the state that it's in and feels that its time has come. But I, for one, am glad it's still here. I'm really happy to see it, and I think it's a fantastic elevator, and we're going to have to get back on the road. It's getting later and later. It's 20 to 4 right now, and we still have to get to Saskatoon. Not today, but by a decent time tomorrow. So let's see what we find further along the roadway. Okay, well, that's going to put a wrap on day 2. So we had a little bit of an adventure. We kind of made a wrong turn at the town of Francis, which had a grain elevator, but we ended up on the wrong highway and we ended up heading southeast instead of kind of east. So we eventually discovered it when we got to the town of Lutheran, and then we had to kind of do some back roads traveling to get here, and we have made it. And this is, I forget the name here, I'm gonna not use my paper map. We are in Montmartre, M-O-N-T-M-A-R-T-E. Montmartre would be my best guess. Obviously a French settlement, and you can tell the French influence because we are parked next to a 30-foot tall replica of the Eiffel Tower. So like all good small towns, we have a cenotaph here for World War II. And then we come over here and we have a lit up Eiffel Tower. The only other thing that appears to be lit tonight is the local hotel and bar, which has one truck parked in front of it. But yeah, check out the Eiffel Tower. I can't believe this isn't a virtual geocache. There's a few geocaches in town, but not one here. $27,000 worth of material and labor donated. Unveiling in July of 2009. So that is where we are going to hopefully shut it down for the night. And you can kind of see where we're parked there just alongside of the road. We're off the road. We're not blocking the fire hydrant there, so I don't really think anybody should have too many concerns about us parking here. It just seems like It's gotten dark, so it's a good place to pull off. Don't want to drive these roads at night. That's when the wildlife and the antelope and things become a little bit more lively, and don't want to hit something in the dark. So like I said, I don't think anybody should object to us parking here, but we're just gonna kind of hunker down, hide out, not draw too much attention to ourselves, and hit the road tomorrow morning. So thank you very much for watching part 2 of this video, and we will see you in part 3.